Here we go. Thank you, Jerry Jones. I had a great time. Thank you. I'm going to exit the building now. Like a loser.
The house that Jerry Jones built?
It's a house for losers.
Yep.
Charles Haley was 100%
was right.
right. This, friends, is a house for losers.
Pretty much.
We suck. We suck. But I had a great trip.
Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Hope everybody's having a great day. Don't forget BetUS, where you can get yourself 150% matching using the promo code YouTube150. And my suggestion would be is if you're going to bet on the Cowboys, use that promo code because you're playing with house money, because you're just going to lose it gambling with the Dallas Cowboys. Tonight we have the Washington Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles, two teams that are going in two totally different directions from the Dallas Cowboys. We suck. We stink. Everything the Cowboys sold us was a crock of crap. And we're at the point where there's literally nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about. I'm going to give you Rich Eisen talking about what there is to talk about.
Evolve to the point where we're out of things to talk about. Except,
Wow.
except this. Honestly, we are now down to the sunlight in the stadium. That's where, because Dak is in New York, apparently going to get his hamstring reattached to his bone.
Yeah,
He'll be done for the year. Cooper Rush did not look like the Cooper Rush that we saw the last time he filled in for Dak at all. It was brutal. They brought in Trey Lance against Philadelphia. That clearly is not
Doable?
an answer at this point in time that the Cowboys would even, I guess, consider starting him on Monday Night Football in front of the whole country against the Houston Texans, who are desperate for a win because they've lost 3 in a row. Like that doesn't appear to be even like, hey, let's see what we have in him so we can trade him for a higher draft choice later on in the offseason, or have him back up Dak in 2025. CeeDee Lamb, fantasy owners are basically looking for the fantasy arsenic right now. The running game is gone. Micah Parsons came back and showed how terrific he is. He affected some things, but clearly can't do it all by himself. And Trevon Diggs, too, the great interception
awesome.
as well. Yeah. I mean, they've got some talented players who are absolutely being
Wasted.
consumed by the mediocrity, by the
Joneses.
what's the words for it? The
Ineptitude?
that's going on over there. And
Words we can't say on Roku.
we are now down to talking about design flaws of AT&T Stadium.
That's what we're down
to right now.
God.
That and, Micah Parsons, after the, I guess, SPF gate, window gate, curtain gate, blinds gate, whatever you want to call it, he was talking about afterwards feeling bad for his veteran teammates like Zach Martin, who might not be playing anymore, and that this is his last year, and mentioned how, because he was being asked about Mike McCarthy. I'm sure you guys played that soundbite yesterday with Kirk Morrison being here. And he's saying, hey, Mike McCarthy, that's above my pay grade, and, he can go somewhere else and coach somewhere else. These guys are at the end of their careers. And, of course, a lot of people took that to mean that Micah wasn't caping for his coach, and thus Mike McCarthy has yet one more notch on the hot seat being turned up. So on 105.3 The Fan today, Jerry Jones talking about the Micah Parsons soundbite.
World, the
time has come to
Push the button.
world.
Up.
The time.
What?
It was not meant, no matter how it sounded, it was not meant as a critique of the coaches or the coach. It was meant as a concern for the veteran players, such as Zach Martin, that might not have that much more in their career left.
All right, everyone.
And it meant as a concern to them because they don't have the length of time to right the ship as much as a player like Micah or the younger players. That's how it was meant. There's no doubt in my mind it was meant that way. There's no game. Mike does not feel, and Micah does not feel a lack of appreciation for, of all people, our head coach, Mike.
By the way, I totally
We just suck.
believe what he's saying. I totally believe that's what Micah Parsons meant to say. The only issue is when you don't sign your coach to an extension before the season and you go all in with him like that, moments like this will bring about questions about his grip on the locker room and with the star players that we all know will be around for a long time, much longer than him potentially to come in Dallas. That's the problem. Also, after you've been told, hey, the team that we've got out there, that's the team we can win with, and they're now 3-6. So when Jerry
And not going to
I
win
think,
another game.
correctly and appropriately, describing Micah Parsons' comments and intents.
So, that's where we are right now. Now, I do want to say we did that. Not everything is awful with the Cowboys. Here's what we found out. A couple of things that we found. We found out that Micah Parsons, regardless of what you think, even coming back where you could noticeably see he's limping, is a difference maker. And the Cowboys, say what you will about getting mollywopped by the Eagles, their defense showed something with Micah Parsons out there. Getting to Jalen Hurts 5 times and creating turnovers. Diggs, who right now you have to look at and say, he's the best guy. He's the best guy the Cowboys have had coming back from an ACL in recent history. Michael Gallup was a complete disaster. Completely. He never got the confidence back of being able to let it go. Terrence Steele, he's good and he's bad. He's better as a run blocker than as a pass blocker. To me, still seems to be he's still recovering from the ACL. Diggs getting that interception out there without having a lot of help, who has been maligned and also vilified for the whole Micah Parsons and him podcast, is still playing really good. Overshown has been the biggest bright spot right now on the defense. Overshown looks like he is a real deal future star linebacker, a guy who can be our DeMario Davis, I think. The injuries are the thing you have to worry about because, of course, he came back from an ACL. He's also, too, another one that's done well coming back from an ACL. In fact, I should have forgot about him coming back from an ACL. But he has shown that he is going to be a beast for hopefully a long time. As far as the draft goes, the bright spot to me is Cooper Beebe. Cooper Beebe, who the Cowboys are lucky to have because they traded back to get Tyler Guyton using a third-round pick. He looks like to be the real deal at center. So you have some pieces there. CeeDee Lamb, you look at and say, going through this season as bad as it is, facing the adversity, it seems like CeeDee Lamb has grown up a little bit. You know, it's easy to be the party guy when everything's always a party. But when the lights come on and the cops show up, that's when you got to have your shit together and your wherewithal about it when the party's over. And believe me, the party's over. So there are a few good things there. Problem with the Cowboys is, as my main man said, Law Nation, The Cowboys draft to replace instead of to complement. The Cowboys on their defense have a good tweener, linebacker, pass rusher in Micah Parsons. I'll also say that actually Mozzie gets a lot of grief, but Mozzie is getting better and better. He's got 20 tackles, 13 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss. I know those numbers aren't incredible to you, but that's a very competent defensive lineman right now. He needs help. Micah Parsons needs help. Overshown needs help. Diggs needs help. Now, everything else, well, that hasn't gone quite the plan. And the problem is the Cowboys didn't have depth, and they had borderline talent. You have no running game, and you can't stop the run. I don't know why it's a surprise to people that we stink. I don't know why it's a surprise to people that you look at this and say, well, we can't do anything. It shouldn't be a surprise. You don't have a good team, and I don't care what quarterback you have. Philly 500 is going to say, you'll never say anything bad about Dak. Dak is not perfect. I'll be the first to admit it. He's going to miss reads and things like that too. But when you're dealt a hand like you have right now, there's not much you can do about it. So we're still sitting here with the good old Joneses that are going to be the ones to figure out what we're going to do. What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do because the Joneses don't know what they're going to do. But here's what we get from the talking heads now. A lot of times there's no rhyme or reason to what they say. Okay? Shit just comes up and they end up saying, oh, this is what the Cowboys are going to do. That's great in theory. But what it creates is this whole thing of misinformation. Right now, everybody's on the bandwagon that the Cowboys are going to draft that are going to hire Deion Sanders, and that Shedeur Sanders is coming here, even though we've got a quarterback that is tied in for $231 million guaranteed. They don't look at this. I mean, just like last year, they're always saying trade Dak. Oh, the Cowboys trade Dak. And he's got a no trade clause. So look at everything that you hear right now with the Cowboys, take it with a grain of salt. We have heard Deion Sanders kind of point the fingers that there's places he don't want him to go. I don't think he would want him to go to Carolina and, places like that. I think Deion is going to let teams know we're not interested. Now, the question would be would Deion Sanders fit with what the Cowboys are doing? Would Jerry Jones give him autonomy? And would the Cowboys try and get Shedeur Sanders with that pick? I guess the way you could look at this would be you could draft Shedeur and you could take your time getting him on the field. You have Dak, who is your lead dog. Maybe you get him to say, you know what, I can let go of my no trade clause, and down the road you can trade him to a team that's a contender. And Shedeur ends up being like Jordan Love, where he's not rushed into the fry. To do that, though, with the amount of holes that the Cowboys have, they would have to do something that they don't want to do. And that is possibly give up draft capital to move up to get him, or they're going to have to get into free agency to plug the holes. Just are. I think the Cowboys will be somewhere around 7. I mean, the problem I see here is if Deion basically says, New York Giants, we're not going to go there. If he goes through to all these teams that says we're not going to, I can't see the Cowboys not being able to get away with Deion Sanders directing his son to the Dallas Cowboys and being the coach. You'd have to say there's collusion there or something. That would go at it. So we'll see how that goes. But let's listen to this and tell me what you think.
It makes more sense with the Cowboys really than it did even at Colorado, because in some ways it's an easier job. I know that sounds ridiculous, but what he's had to overcome at Colorado to get them in a situation where we're talking about them as a conference champion or maybe even a CFP entrant is really spectacular and one of the craziest stories I have ever seen. But the reason why I think he works with Dallas, not only does he help the locker room, he might be the only person in America that Jerry Jones will listen to. And that's the most important thing. Yes, he relies on his son, but he would also look at Deion as his other son. And I think that could be the ticket.
Fascinating from Paul Feinbaum
Okay.
yesterday. Shefty, this is something that is now out there, right?
Well,
People are bringing it up.
Didn't you tweet about it or something like that?
Well, I said this. Everything that we've watched going on with a lot of the young quarterbacks and certainly Chicago and Caleb, Deion's not going to let his son go to an organization that kind of looks like what's happened in Chicago. Like I said this on Tuesday when they fired Shane Waldron. Today's the example of why Deion's going to make sure Shedeur goes to the right place. And a lot of people disagree with that. It's happening, okay? Deion is not going to let Shedeur go to a place that doesn't have a track record with people or of developing and supporting a young quarterback. Deion fully understands, don't matter where you get drafted, that first contract, the second contract is everything. The career is way more. So for it is going to be a Manning situation. He's not going to go to a place that doesn't have the proven track record of making sure that the quarterback is set up to succeed as a young player.
Okay, so we got Paul Feinbaum saying that Deion Sanders belongs with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. We've got Dan saying that Deion doesn't trust his son to go to certain places.
He's going to control where his son goes, 100%.
So if Paul is saying that Deion is going to be in the NFL and you're saying that he wants to control his son, well, what better combination would there be than Deion getting to coach with his son in the same place? Because you can now take this and apply it to any team that has a top pick in the draft, that has a need for a quarterback, and a coaching question. Any team, go through the list.
Well,
and start saying to yourself, would this team hire Deion Sanders to match with Shedeur Sanders as his head coach? You get both Sanders in there.
Right.
Again, it's logical to think in those regards. If Deion Sanders is ever going to make the jump, wouldn't he want to do it for his son? And if his son got to play with his dad, wouldn't it make it easy to go to any place that he was drafted?
Dallas feels like one place that can't happen, though, right? They just signed a quarterback to the richest.
NFL.
Anything is always possible.
The NFL, Greeny.
Anything is always possible.
People are going to look at is going to be Vegas. For the conversation you're having,
the one in my mind.
They figure to have a high pick. They need a quarterback. They got shut out last year. There were 6 quarterbacks that went ahead of their pick. They weren't expecting that. They didn't get the guy they wanted. Brady is there now. I think that's a place that a lot of people are going to be looking.
I think the Tom Brady angle of it is very important because Shedeur Sanders trained and worked out with Tom Brady, right? So the relationship is there between Shedeur and Tom Brady, Deion Sanders and Tom Brady. Also, we've seen, recently, we've seen Shedeur at a basketball game and the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders there.
Mark Davis
talking about how much he enjoys Shedeur Sanders.
So I host the First Draft podcast every week with Mel and Field, and what has become apparent is that Shedeur Sanders is going to be the #1 quarterback prospect in this draft. Anything can change,
Hands
I
down.
suppose, over the next few months, but that feels likely. Cam Ward is going to be a person who gets drafted high, and there'll be a few other names that will be discussed. But Shedeur Sanders feels like the one guy who is going to go top 3, top 5, that sort of thing. So that's where you're going to have to be picking. Look, Deion, I thoroughly agree with you. First off, Deion is going to want to control where his son goes.
He's going to.
He's going to. And as well he should. If you have the ability to do that, you should. There's no reason you shouldn't. Start calling him Archie Sanders, right? I mean, he should be controlling that situation. Look how well it has worked out. As far as the two of them going together, that's not necessarily something you can control. I mean, you can try and make it, well,
Greeny, it's the NFL.
It's more controllable than you think.
Yes, Deion Sanders is football royalty. I mean, he's NFL royalty. Let's live in that.
Well, I mean, if someone is going to take Shedeur Sanders in the top 3 picks of this draft.
Okay, but
you've got to be there.
So let's live in the world where, okay, Dallas, obviously, you'd have to do something with Dak Prescott. And that would be their decision. That would be Jerry Jones' decision.
They would have $100 million in debt.
Yeah, you got a big cap you got to deal with, too.
Guys, that doesn't matter. Like, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and Deion Sanders wants to coach there, and you have the 3rd pick, and you have the opportunity to take Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders, and that's what you want, you're going to make it happen. You're going to make that happen. If you're the New York Giants, and you have the 2nd or 3rd pick, and you got the chance to get Deion Sanders first of all, Deion Sanders is a lot more like Jim Harbaugh than people think.
Yeah.
He could flat out coach football, okay?
Yeah.
You got the chance to get Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders?
I like that one better.
Are you kidding me?
That feels likelier.
I just don't think Dallas is going to be in a spot to where they're close enough.
I don't think they will either.
They just paid their quarterback.
Just go through the exercise and apply it to every single team in the top 10.
Dude, you're
that has a
talking
quarterback.
Schefter, you're talking the Jets.
Go through the list.
You're talking the Jets.
Could you see?
You're
Hold
talking
on.
the
Could you
Giants?
see Shedeur and Deion with the Jets?
Heck yes.
I mean, I would, of course, I would love to see that.
Can you see him with the Giants?
Yeah,
The
definitely.
Las Vegas Raiders.
For sure.
Okay, the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, why not?
There's not going to be a top team that's going to say no to.
Now, but here's the thing.
Right.
There's going to be teams. So again, the Jets, the Giants, the Saints, the Raiders, the Jaguars, the Browns, the Carolina Panthers. There's going to be teams but there's going to be organizations out of that group that I said that Deion is going to say no.
That's fine. That's fine. The point is that this is just going to be an option that's out there. We're not saying it's happening.
Of course.
We're saying that this is one of those options that's going to heat up, that's going to be in play
Of course.
this offseason. Is there a team out there
They're
that's
licking
in
their
position
chops.
to get Shedeur Sanders that also wants to go and hire Deion Sanders to marry them up together moving forward? Maybe it'll happen.
Marketing
Maybe it won't.
genius.
It's damn fun to talk about and think about.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% on that.
Well, if you wanted to explode the internet, congratulations.
Okay, so there you have it. The Joneses would love to have that kind of controversy, of course. Making that happen, even if it implodes the team, even if it handicaps them. But, we're in hell right now. This is, God. This sucks. Going to Thursday Night Football, seeing the Eagles and Commanders fighting it out for bragging rights right now in the NFC East. And we are literally staring down the barrel of not winning the last 8 games. It truly sucks. All right, good people. As always, I appreciate you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys tonight. We'll be live streaming during the game. We'll be watching the Eagles versus the Commanders, and there's that. Peace.
Here we go. Thank you, Jerry Jones. I had a great time. Thank you. I'm going to exit the building now. Like a loser.
The house that Jerry Jones built?
It's a house for losers.
Yep.
Charles Haley was 100%
Charles Haley was right.
This, friends, is a house for losers.
Pretty much.
We suck. We suck.